Right friends, this is the fourth mini capsule, and here this is the classic case of what will happen to the countries when the country is dependent on only one commodity. Then second lesson to be learnt from Venezuela is, without looking at the long term perspective plan for creation of assets, if the countries are going on for spending spree in the name of socialism, then what will happen to the countries? So, these two lessons in fact can be learned from the Venezuela crisis. Venezuela, this is towards the northern part of South America, known for its socialistic pattern of governance, but is now under collapse. And if you look at the present status, it is under serious economic crisis and it has spilled over to politics. Massive protests have erupted against the President Nicolas Maduro. There are several protests taking place across the country, shortage of essential commodities, rationing of commodities, lot of corruption, lot of black marketing, hundreds of times of inflation. If you want to know about all these things, the country which you should not forget is Venezuela, right? So, let us go ahead. If you go back to history, I am starting from 1998, Venezuela's president, well-known president across the world, Hugo Chavez, came to power in 1998 and his socialistic policies are well known and well appreciated across the world, and he promised to fight poverty and inequality through socialism. Then what he has done, he nationalized huge amounts of private assets including oil companies, and this oil company is the state run firm which controls entire oil production, and that was tasked, that means this firm, that is Petróleos de Venezuela, was tasked with the main purpose of exporting oil and bringing revenue to the country so that that revenue can be utilized for social welfare or for various social schemes. So, that was the modus operandi for the past 10-15 years, right? So, with this money, social welfare schemes were expanded as the Venezuela's economy primarily dependent on oil exports. As a result, what happened? From 1998 to 2012, during 14 years, poverty levels reduced drastically from 50% to 30%. Everything went on well up to around 2013 or 14. Everything looked rosy, and Venezuela is showcased as an example and success story of socialism across the world. Then suddenly things went wrong from 2014. Because of fall in oil prices. Oil prices touched rock bottom during 2016 to $27 per barrel from around $115 per barrel. So, this changed the total economic scenario of this country. Flow of dollars stopped because of reduction in oil prices. Accordingly, what the government has done, government borrowed heavily, and another unfortunate aspect is it created bolivars. It printed currency to tide over the crisis. The currency increased from 10.6 billion to 7,500 billions in 18 years, or you can say they increased drastically from 290 billion to 7,513 billion in just 6 years. And when currency is printed, what happens? Inevitable consequence is inflation, because money circulation will increase, and because of that rapid inflation took place and drop in the bolivar value took place and currency lost its value and it crippled the economy, right? And present state, inflation has gone beyond control, and in 2017 the inflation is expected to be 700%. We are worrying about 6%, and this country is going to see inflation of 700% and 2000%. And you can say economic disaster happened, and rationing for some commodities was introduced, and because of which corruption increased and some essential commodities rates were capped. because of which private producers stopped producing them. So, all round chaos across the country, and now this is a classic example of what will happen if more spending is on the people without looking at capital assets creation. That is one lesson to be learned from Venezuela. The second lesson is, don't depend upon only one commodity. It may prove to be disaster at any time. And the second important point is, several African countries are also suffering because some of the African countries are dependent on commodities. Right friends, this is all about Venezuela. There are important lessons to be learned from Venezuela example. Have a nice day. Thank you.